Well, good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day. God has already allowed us to be here. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful and a great day. We're continuing with the word of the Lord in these trying times. We preach the gospel in season and out of season. And I want us to start a series today, a topic titled Challenging Patterns. Challenging Patterns. And I want us to read from the book of Romans, chapter number 12. And we're going to be specifically reading verse 1 and verse number 2. I'll be taking our scripture reading from the NIV translation. It reads thus: Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. His good, pleasing, and perfect will. I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercies. What do we see from this? God has a view. Me and you have a view, but God has His own view. Now, as we continue to unpack this topic today, I don't want us to rush, but I want us to take a bit of time and begin to explain a few concepts. Now, we're looking at a series titled Challenging Patterns. Now, if you look at the word pattern, it simply means a model or a design or repeated decorative systems. Again, if I will talk about pattern, maybe just to come to musical terms, every musician has their own pattern. If you, for example, let's take, for example, Earth, Wind and Fire. If you listen to Earth, Wind and Fire music, they have their own pattern. You can tell that this is Earth, Wind and Fire. You can tell this is Israel Houghton. You can tell this is so and so, because their music is structured in a particular way. There is a specific and a certain pattern. So today we're talking about challenging patterns, challenging systems, challenging decorative systems that have been there. Now, Paul here, he writes to the Roman church, he says, in view of God's mercies, I beg you to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. There is a specific offering that must be given to God, and that offering in this case is your body. In this case, it is your body. Now, we worship God in spirit, but we also worship God with our physical bodies. God desires that we not only worship Him in spirit and in truth, but also with our bodies as an instrument that has been granted and given to us as a way of worship. Now watch this. He says, as a true and a proper way of worship, he says, do not be conformed, or do not conform, do not change yourself into, do not conform, do not allow yourself to be changed into the pattern of this world. Now he uses the word pattern, and this is what we'll be talking about today. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but let there be a transformation. Let there be a transformation by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve the good, the pleasing, and the perfect will of God. Now, I want us to look at this now. Every human being, we are all shaped by a way and a pattern of thinking that is influenced, number one, by our upbringing. We are all shaped, we are all influenced by a pattern of thinking that is influenced by our upbringing, where you grew up from. Some grew up in the suburbs. They are shaped and changed by that pattern of thinking from the suburbs where they grew from. Some from rural areas, they are shaped, changed by that pattern of thinking. Some are from what we call elokishini, high density areas, where they are shaped and changed by that pattern of thinking. Again, if you look with me and just double check this, you'll see that some are from different provinces. I mean, if I will talk under the context of Southern Africa, you'll find some are from provinces where they are shaped and changed by their upbringing. Now, we all have different upbringings. You have an upbringing from your parents, your mom, your dad. They are also different, and they are from different backgrounds, and they shaped you. Now, number two, we are also shaped and influenced by a pattern of thinking from our neighborhoods, where we grew up from. As I've said before, our neighborhoods. You know, Those who are from Gauteng have a certain way of thinking. Those who are from Mpumalanga, Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, if you can check all of us, we have a different way of thinking. For those who are watching me, my brothers in Kenya, you understand that you have a different way of thinking. You know, I remember the first time when we went to Kenya, I realized that people don't think the way we think in the southern part of Africa. It's different. So their surrounding, their way of thinking, how they adjust, it's different. And again, we are shaped by what we know and we understand as life experiences. We all have experienced life. You may be a 50-year-old, you went through life in the last 50 years and you have had experiences. You have went through many different experiences. And our experiences are not the same. And all our experiences, one way or another, be it good or bad, positive or negative, they shape us, they shape you, and they shape me. So we are shaped by even life experiences. We're shaped by life experiences. You know, some have been abandoned, that experience has shaped them. Some have gotten married, that experience has shaped them. Some went through varsity, that experience has shaped them. Some immediately after matric, they had to go look for a job. That experience on its own shaped them. So these life experiences, some went through abuse, some went through even good times. All these experiences, they shape us. And again, we are also shaped and challenged, or rather changed by the schools that we attended. The school, I mean, take for instance from kindergarten, primary school, high school, and beyond that, tertiary level. You are shaped by your schooling. I love what someone said. This person said this: most of the time, school will teach you what to think, but not how to think. Now, this is not to criticize the schooling system, but this is to show you that in most cases, where we are in our context, a school will teach you what to think. What you are taught at school teaches you what to think. So everybody has been shaped by a pattern of thinking that you learn from your school, from your teachers. And again, from our friends. We are shaped, we are changed in our thinking by the friends we hang around with. The friends you were with when you were still a child, when you are an adult, your friends, the things they talk about, their own personal experiences they bring to the table of this friendship that we may have. All these things play a role in our lives. And we like it or not, we are shaped by our friends. I think about my own personal life, the type of friends I've had from high school, even before I got born again, the topics we would engage in, the interest we had, the things we liked, the things we didn't like together as a group. There is what we call mob psychology, where you think as a group together, collectively as a group, you think a certain way, where no one thinks differently, but all of you are accustomed to the same type of thinking. So our friends, even the friends you hang around, you see the Bible says bad company corrupts good morals. If you hang around bad friends, even if you are an adult, they are going to shape the way of your thinking. And again, what shapes our way of thinking is television. Television. I mean, every day we watch television. I know some watch television religiously so, every now and then. And it shapes our way of thinking. The soapies we watch, the dramas, the documentaries. In today's world, we have what we call reality shows. Those things shape us, even as the children of God, even as the church. We are shaped by what we watch. And it shapes our thinking. It informs us how to think. Again, colleagues, for those who are working, you've got colleagues. Colleagues are more like friends. It's people you don't choose, but it's people you find yourself with, especially in a working environment. And one way or the other, they shape our way of thinking. One lecturer of mine used to say, when we were still in Bible school, he used to say, for God to change us, he uses our thinking. He influences, for God to change us, he influences our thinking. For God to change us, he influences our thinking. And the last one is social media. We're living in a social media era where social media shapes our way of thinking. The things we read, the statuses we see, they shape our way of thinking. I normally hear some people say, no one influences me. I'm my own man. I do what I like. But the truth is, the things you do, somebody influenced that way of thinking. The things you don't do, they are influenced by somebody. If you study the world of the spirit, there are angelic activities, there are demonic activities. And in one way or another, God influences our thinking as a people. Satan also influences our thinking as a people. It depends what you are accustomed to, what you are shaped towards. What is it that you want to adopt in your life? But all of us are shaped by a certain way of thinking. The things you desire, somebody has influenced you to think that way. If you want to do what we call a white wedding, where you will have a decoration, catering and pay all of that, somebody has influenced you to think that way because you've seen it from somewhere. And it influences you to have that. The way you dress, somebody influenced that. The car you drive, you were influenced by somebody. You were either inspired or however way you envied, but you were influenced to think towards that direction of driving, eating, or having certain things a certain way. So we all are people who are shaped by a particular pattern and a way of thinking. Now, I want you to look at this with me. I want us to look at this thought. An incorrect way of thinking can impose limitation to our lives. An incorrect way of thinking can impose limitation. Do you know there are many people who are living lives that are limited, and the reason is simply one. It's the way they think. It's the pattern of thinking. Sometimes it's not necessarily demonic spirits. It can be, but you find it's a way of thinking. Their way of thinking is posing a limitation. It poses a limitation. You find people are limited by how they think. And my question today is, what thought pattern is governing your mindset? What type of mindset is governing you? And I'll tell you this, that mindset is determining whether you will succeed or be mediocre or completely fail in life. Many people are living their lives blaming either their parents, their backgrounds. I mean, let's be honest, some people are born from very difficult backgrounds, but they have managed to pull through in life because of a particular desire, because of something they've seen. They've seen a better life, they have desired a better life, they're influenced to go towards a better life. A better life for you probably can be getting a better job. Probably a better life for you can be probably you want to stop doing wrong and having a good family and managing a family. That could be the context of a better life for you. Whatever you term as a better life, it is within your limits or context. So your way of thinking can pose limitation. And again, prayer, watch this. Prayer may not lift the limitation until your thoughts are confronted, challenged, and changed. Prayer may not lift the limitation until your thoughts are confronted, until you or somebody else confronts your thoughts, challenges them, and in time they are changed. I'm a person who loves prayer and I believe in prayer a lot. But as we keep growing and as we keep discovering things, we learn that there are certain things prayer will not change. Prayer cannot influence nor change your thought life. You must be a person who thinks differently while you are praying. Because you may find you are limited, but because you don't pray, you find you cannot have different results. This is where you hear people say, prayer is useless. Prayer is not useless. It's how we think that limits us. Thank you for joining us. Because of time, we cannot continue, but we are doing a second installment of this teaching. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. Make His face shine upon you. Shalom.